Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. And this morning, T Mobile's new CEO, Srini Gopalan, presented at the UBS Global Media and Communications Conference. I was able to tune in. It was about a 35 to 40-minute Q&A, and some very interesting questions were asked. But what I take away from it, just listening and digesting the information, writing some of it down, Srini sounds very confident. I can't stress that enough. He sounds very confident. And some of you might say, well, as he should, but he sounds super confident. So he's doubling down on the 2026 2027 guidance. He didn't give any guidance today, but he's doubling down on the guidance going higher, that he's increasing guidance. So he sounds confident in that. Also, next year, capex is 10 billion. He did give us that, so we're not going to see an increased or elevated capex beyond the 10 billion. It's going to be 10 billion, and then after, he said it's going to go back into that 9 to 10 billion range, and that's where they feel comfortable. So some of his priorities, again, he remains very consistent. His top priority is the network. That is number one priority for the new CEO. Number one. That is his main priority, is the network. He said they're putting thousands of new sites in the ground. That will likely continue to some extent next year, the year after that. And that's going to lead to revenue. He's saying right now, today, those new sites that are being put in the ground, he's already able to make revenue off of those sites, whether that be FWA, new wireless customers, whatever the case. He can already make revenue off of those thousands of new sites that are going in the ground. So it's showing success. It's a ROI. It's a return on investment. So they're going to continue that. That is his number one priority. His second priority is the digital transformation, because that's going to lead to cost savings. And we're going to see that on the guidance coming for 26 and 27. So that's good, right? And then he's talking about dividend increases and all that. That's coming too. So shareholders, investors are going to be excited about that. So one thing that he made very clear, and I want to put that in, I wanted to add that in this video. So he was asked about fiber. What are the ambitions around fiber? What about homes passed? And I don't know if he spoke on it prior the way that he did today, but he's saying, so the market is kind of giving T-Mobile a hard time because they're behind the competition on fiber homes passed. At the end of this bigger build for T-Mobile, if you will, or higher heightened investment, as they say, T-Mobile will be between 12 to 15 million homes passed by the end of 2030. And that's with the partnerships they have with a 50% stake in Lumos and the 50% stake in Metronet, which, comparatively speaking, by that time frame, I mean, they're still going to be significantly behind the competition. AT&T is going to be at 60 plus million. Verizon will be at like 45, 50 million. So what he added to that, and can he really speak on it differently because he is behind? Probably not. So he has to kind of maneuver around that topic. And what he said is they are equally finding FWA as important as fiber in their strategy moving forward. So in the future, as you ask T-Mobile about homes passed and everything, they're going to include FWA in that. He says they're not gonna shy away from FWA. It's an excellent strategy. Fiber is not for everyone, is what he said. Fiber is not for everyone. Even in the markets where they're competing today with fiber through Lumos, Metronet, and the other partners, fiber is not for everyone. That was his clear message. So he can already compete at scale today. That's what he said during this conference. He can compete at scale today with fiber and FWA. Now, the problem is John Fryer stated that it's not a problem. He stated it at the Wells Fargo conference. people that are on FWA that are using 1 to 2 to 3 terabytes a month, they would prefer those customers to be on fiber. So that's going to be, I don't want to say complicated, but how do you break that down? For an example, El Paso, Texas, my market, T-Mobile has zero fiber, none. And even if they got a partnership going this year or next year, it would probably be a few years before they can even get fiber to any meaningful scale because there really is no one to really partner with. You have AT&T and then everyone else. You would have to pay someone to build out in this market to compete against AT&T. So for now, T-Mobile is going to continue to support the customers that are on FWA with FWA. But at some point, are they going to have to look at, okay, we need to get these customers off of the network because they're using too much? So then are they going to increase price for existing customers to kind of force them off and go with Spectrum or AT&T or whoever else is available? That's a possibility, right? But for the time being, they're going to continue to take the revenue, the profits, and they're going to allow those customers to be on the network. They're going to continue to increase capacity. Not necessarily specifically for FWA, because they haven't disclosed that yet, but there's auctions coming up for spectrum, perhaps for 6G. Some might still be used for 5G. There is still C-band that they haven't deployed yet. That's 40 megahertz. There's still small cells that they can deploy, but they're going to continue to stick to the fallow capacity model. And I think that's smart. I think that's very smart for them to do that. And I also think it's smart to continue to incorporate the FWA and the fiber play. And I think that's going to bite AT&T in the behind, so to speak, because their focus is get them onto FWA and then offload them to fiber immediately. Fiber is not for everyone, and it's not needed for everyone. There's going to be that customer that's going to say, hey, your fiber pricing in a few years is too high. I want a more cheaper, more, basic choice. And that's where FWA comes into play. And maybe AT&T will come around and they will serve that customer with FWA anyway. But T-Mobile for sure is not shying away from FWA. He made that very clear today. At scale, he's competing with fiber and FWA. Is it going to continue to increase the fiber footprint here and there? Yes, through JV Ventures and some other partnerships and maybe investing more with Lumos and Metronet. Yes, they're going to do that. But are they going to get to homes passed in a reasonable time to compete against Verizon and AT&T? Likely not. So they're going to have to use the network and they're going to have to use the fiber footprint to accomplish that. So be on the lookout. I do still think, I have a gut feeling that T-Mobile will eventually pivot and they will eventually invest in the network specifically for FWA because they can see it works. They're managing the churn. They're getting it lower. They're growing the base. They are the fastest growing home broadband provider in the country. So it works. And then you add more spectrum on tower sites, existing tower sites, you densify. It just simply works. It's an easy process to get people onto FWA. And it's already capital that you're spending on the wireless network anyway. So if you do say, hey, we have a plan, we're going to put about $2 billion of capital into FWA specific deployments, then so be it. That's possible too. But right now, I just don't see a need for that. And they can continue building out the network as they would and grow revenue from that. And I think that's what they're going to stick to. And then they're going to stick to the fiber play. Any deals moving forward, I think, have to be very, very attractive to T-Mobile and very accretive for them to bite on the deal. Outside of that, I don't see them forcing any deals. Like we didn't see them go to Lumen and say, hey, we want all of your consumer fiber across this footprint. So they're not actively looking for those types of deals. If a deal comes across the table, like I said, that's very attractive and accretive, T-Mobile will entertain it. But outside of that, I don't see them going after a cable player. I don't see it. I don't see them wanting to get that type of debt, that type of business just to reach scale. They can do it with fiber and FWA. And he made that very, very clear today. Outside of that, he didn't really say much else. We now have to wait for the fourth quarter earnings call, February 4th, to get more information. But he sounds very confident. So that tells me whatever Verizon and AT&T do is not going to derail his momentum. And he says the best days for T-Mobile are ahead. And that's a big statement. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.